Hi and welcome to a quick review. Today's review about a new camera, relatively new camera from Sony NEX-5. So this is a APS-C sensor based camera in very small form factor, I would say. So Sony released two cameras, NEX-3 and NEX-5. So the difference is a bit of quality build, and also NEX-3 cannot shoot AVC HD in 1080. So it can do only 720p and MP4. So the lenses are mounted to these cameras, so this is NEX-5, through the new mount, which is called E-mount. So far only three lenses available, so one is 16mm 2.8, another, the one I have on this camera, is 18 to 55, 3.5 to 5.6, so this is quite a slow lens in these terms. And also there is one more available, 18 to 200, which is quite significant telephoto zoom lens, especially on a 1.5 crop factor sensor as this one, but it's quite slow as well, 3.5 to 6.3, so it's just, again, and those lenses still quite big actually. So Sony also released with E-mount a video camera, which is called VG10. They also announced a new professional video camera with E-mount. So I guess E-mount will become quite popular, and more lenses will be coming from Sony. And I expect some lenses from Carl Zeiss actually as well, with a new autofocusing, because this camera works on a contrast detect based autofocusing system. And so standard lenses, even though they have an adapter from E-mount to alpha mount, so Minolta and Sony lenses can be used on this camera potentially. The focusing of those lenses will take very long time, from 2 to 7 seconds, just because of the differences how the motor on those lenses work comparing to this one. So those lenses quite usable, but if you want to do manual focusing, in autofocusing it doesn't make much sense. Also, if you're shooting video with those lenses, you can constantly hear the motor actually working in those lenses, if in autofocusing mode. Also, chance to get accurate focus is very low. I mean, constantly accurate focus, as it would do, for example, with standard lenses like this, while shooting video or while tracking the objects in the constant autofocusing mode. So what else? So let's go and discuss what is bad about the camera. The first bad thing, I believe, is the flash. So here I have it attached. You can easily detach it, just one screw. It's new, whatever shoe type we come up with. But this flash is so small and so, I don't know, tiny, but it's actually, when you're taking pictures with a hood on these lenses, you will see a shadow of this hood on every photo you take. So you need to remove the hood from the lenses when you take pictures, then put it back. Doesn't make much sense to me. So I would prefer to have some serious flash on this camera if it would be only available. So otherwise, right now what I'm doing, I'm upping the ISO to 1600, and I'm shooting in RAW, and in RAW it's still kind of usable, I would say. JPEG quality won't be great at that ISO, and actually in general I don't like the JPEG quality of this camera whatsoever. So I think it doesn't make any sense, it's very low quality JPEG images produced. RAW is fine, so I'm shooting in RAW, and I would recommend you, if you buy this camera, you better get yourself familiar with RAW processing software, because post-processing from the RAW is giving you so many advantages. But when you start doing it, actually, it takes not so long, and it's two-step process. So whatever mistakes you potentially made with a white balance while you're shooting, or maybe a little bit exposure compensation when you're shooting, you can correct those easily while working with the RAW format. Also, the sensor itself, it says 14 megapixels on this camera, and I believe it is, but the problem is that per pixel quality is not great, comparing to, let's say, Canon 5D, which is much lower per pixel quality. So what you need to do actually to downscale it to about 6 megapixels to get a good per pixel quality. This is a good thing to know. This is what I'm doing actually. 6 megapixels is plenty for most of the prints. So if you need full 14 for some reason, well, probably there are some ways to post-process the photo to make it look, let's say, prettier. But as I said, 14 megapixel pixel to pixel sharpness, not so good. So very usable ISO range from 200 to 1600 from RAW format, and of course you need to adjust a little bit more color and luma noise reduction if you're shooting in 1600 all the time, but it produces usable results. What else? Bad things, battery life, that's terrible. So the battery is basically only 1080, not 800, 1080 milliampere hours. So this is about like 500 milliampere hours less when I have in my Android phone. Of course, this battery is 7.4 volts, so it's twice the voltage of my Android phone, but still, Sony, come on. You used to produce very good batteries before, so why now just stop on this? What else? I would prefer to have a little actually bigger body, just to, well, this camera, just to have a little bigger body, just to accommodate a bigger battery. Because right now I end up buying 2 more batteries for it. And charging one battery takes a long time with one charger, to charge all 3. So you need to wake up at night, in the middle of the night, change it, so next day you can use all 3. Not so convenient, but, well, if you're shooting a lot or you're filming a lot with this camera, when you have to do it. So you're changing them as clips, you know, on your rifle. Okay, so that's pretty much all about the bad things, actually. So good things again, as I said, multiple cameras came out with E-mount, so we're waiting for more lenses to come out, which is always a good thing. And because Sony are such a good friends with Carl Zeiss, I believe Carl Zeiss will start making lenses for E-mount with a new autofocusing system, which would be just great. I would be first in the queue to buy those. Now, another good thing, again, image quality. For such a small camera, which fits everywhere pretty much, easy, portable and light, the image quality is astonishing, actually. I would say actually that the color reproduction of this camera is better than I had on my 5D, not Mark II, but standard 5D. Just the feel the picture gives you when you look at the photo, the feel is better from this camera. And I'm talking about landscapes, I'm talking about buildings, I'm talking about anything pretty much except for people faces. So because this camera is kind of differentiating between the smallest possible details of the colors, sometimes you need to reduce the saturation of your colors just to make the photo, like a face of like a portrait photo, look prettier, because it produces too much details and you don't want to see all those like red and spots on somebody's face usually. But it's just displaying the truth, and if you're shooting in RAW, you have plenty of choices how to post-process your photo so it would look pretty. But in general, I'm impressed by the color reproduction. Now a good thing, of course, size. So as I said, it's very portable, and people don't kind of get it seriously when you're taking photos of them with a serious, like a huge 5D with 70-200 wide lenses. Everybody just gets scared, you know, they start acting weirdly, you know. And with this camera, it looks like a toy, so nobody paying attention actually. So, and it's easy to take pictures even kind of from the situations where you wouldn't with a standard DSLR, where you need to actually, you know, keep it close to your face, or I don't know, just smaller camera has its benefits, definitely. What else? Good points. So good screen, definitely, very informative screen. You can choose what kind of information to display on the screen, and it may display all the main information you actually need. So you can see your white balance, you can see your ISO, you can see your exposure and the shutter, and you can see for face detection on and off, what is your ISO, metering mode and autofocusing mode, and pretty much everything you like. So that's good things. So I would say this camera is quite a reasonable camera. It has very good movie quality as well, and in the movies you can use a manual focus, if you configure manual focus before shooting the movie from the menu, before shooting the video, and also you can control the aperture as well. But you need to set the aperture before you're actually shooting. So nice bokeh produced by these lenses can be utilized, and also those interesting effects when somebody comes into focus or goes out of focus, and you can readjust the focus into different objects during the dialogues, for example, different people. It's very interesting stuff. And this camera allows it to do. What it doesn't allow you to do, it does not allow you to choose the shutter speed during the filming. The only thing you have to control is exposure compensation, which can be set ±2 in like as little steps. So it's still alright. It's better than some camcorders do actually. And the quality produced is good. So this is European model, so it has 180i, and I heard that it actually shoots everything in 25p and it makes 180 50i from it, creating a field, two fields from one frame. So that, I'm not sure why Sony did it. I guess the native 25p would be fine. Maybe 24p would be even better option, as to me, for example. I like this kind of a cinema look to the pictures, to the videos, especially in this case. So, and that's all review. I would say if you get bored with your DSLR, or you want to buy a DSLR, but some low-grade DSLR, and you're thinking to have something small and little, this would be pretty much good choice, I guess, at the moment, especially if you're happy to have just one lenses like this for now, because 16mm 2.8 is cheap, but 18 to 200 is very expensive. It's about 700 quid in UK, so you can afford it, but it's, you know, big money. Now new lenses will come up, so it's fine with the time. If you can survive for some time with this, I guess it might be better than some of the low-grade DSLRs available on the market, because of its size, of course, but just because of the image quality as well. And that's all the review. So I guess from my point it's recommended. You decide what to do, but it produces good photos and it's fun to shoot something new in your collection as well. So thanks again for watching and see you next time. Bye.
It's like perfection, like no other, flawless, absolutely flawless.